This is The Sit Down, and I'm here with best-selling writer Tayari Jones, author of An American Marriage. Good morning.
Good morning.
It is so good to see you.
I'm just happy.
Let's talk about that a little. I want to start there. You have had a wild year. Oprah picks your book. It explodes. So popular. Out in paperback now. If you guys haven't read it, read it. All right? Just like do it. But how do you feel like the same you?
I've been me for longer than this moment. With An American Marriage being so successful and everything, that is kind of a blip in the longer arc of my life. I feel like I'm the same person. I do sometimes have to convince other people that I'm the same person. But, I'm just me. I'm just a happy me.
Just a little more smiles. Just a little more.
A lot more smiles.
A lot more smiles. What do you do to stay grounded, to kind of feel like you're still you?
Well, I've moved back to Atlanta. I've returned to my natural habitat. So, like, when I go to the grocery store, I can run into my third grade teacher. And living 20 minutes from my parents, that also really helps to remind a person of, like, who you actually are. But also, you know what? I came into writing because I love writing and I love stories. And also, I love people who read. And so I spend a lot of time with readers. And it just reminds me that, this thing we're doing is awesome, it's fun, but it's also very real. It was important to you to return to Atlanta.
Why not just like, you have this big influx of attention, you could go anywhere. Why did you want to return home?
I feel like I'm my most authentic self when I am in Atlanta. And I just love being around people who've known me my whole life. And American Marriage begins, there are two kinds of people, those who leave home and those who don't. But there's a third category of people, and that's the people who come back.
Right. I'm like, that might be the next book. Let me ask you real quick, though. Oprah announced that she's going to turn it into a movie.
Yes.
Is that thrilling for you? Is that scary for you?
It's all the things, because when your book is being made into a movie, you have to let go of that control. I was meeting with the screenwriter, and she was trying to explain to me what is the difference between like a book and a movie. And what really brought it home is when she said, the book ends with an epiphany. My main character comes to understand something. And someone coming to understand something looks like this. You cannot end the movie like that. That cannot be the end of the movie. We can't zoom in on him.
Even if there's like some swelling music, it just doesn't work?
You can't zoom in on him saying, damn. So when she explained that to me, I put the project into her capable hands because she's doing something that I can't. But you just have to walk out on faith and say, trust the artist you're working with and trust that they will translate your book into film, because it's really a translation into a language that I don't quite speak.
Okay, so you're happy to kind of let it go. But you gotta have some dreams. Like, do you have any kind of like dream casting?
I want to be in it. I mean, just a little. I don't need to star in it, but I want to have like a little tiny role. I would like one line.
Just one line.
Just one line.
I think Stephen King does that a lot, right? If Stephen King he's like in a lot of his films. If Stephen King gets to do it, you should absolutely get to.
I would love to do it. And I try not to dream about the major roles because I feel like if someone else gets it, I don't want that person to feel like I'm not into them.
Right.
But I have like a little tiny, small character idea.
Which is?
I think that, when Roy is in prison for a crime he doesn't commit, he has this like charismatic cellmate that they call the ghetto Yoda. I think Eddie Murphy would be a perfect ghetto Yoda.
I see that.
Right?
I can see that immediately.
Yeah,
I can see that.
And what about Angela Bassett and her real life husband as Celestial's parents? How cute.
This is perfect. Just put it out into the universe. We'll see how it works.
I think it'd be fantastic. So I think about these little things, but I try not to get too caught up in it because it's someone else's artistic baby. But I can't help it. I get excited.
Right, because it's your baby first. I want to ask you, did this incredible interview with The Cut. It's called Payday, and it's basically talking with women who have big influxes of money in their lives. How do you get to a place where you feel open discussing your finances like that?
When they first asked me if I wanted to talk about money, I didn't want to do it because I felt like, one, it's not anyone's business. And I was so afraid of judgment. I feel like money, if you don't have any money, people judge you for being broke. If you have money, people judge you for having too much. But I also think that there's so much mystery, especially, for people like me. I've never had any money. I mean, before, my book was an Oprah selection, I was living in an apartment so small that if I fall out of bed, I land in a bathtub. Like, this is my life. And so this thing happened to me, and I felt like I had nowhere to turn, no source of information. So if no one talks about it, then the people who most need to know things will never know them. So I just took a deep breath and did the interview. But I was nervous. I was anxious on like 10 different levels, but I think that the most important conversations that we have are hard to have. That's why we haven't had them.
Right, exactly. And I got to say, I felt like it was such a beautiful piece. We'll tweet it out so that people can read it. Listen, on The Shop, HBO, LeBron James, Jamie Foxx, and others, they just recently, like a clip kind of went viral where they were talking about the burden one feels to one's family when you kind of have this influx of money. Have you felt any of that? Is that...
Well, I want to say I don't have no LeBron James money. I think book money and sports money are like two different things. But
let me be clear.
But I think, honestly, that a lot of people, we all have obligations to our family. And I don't think it's any more significant for someone who is a zillionaire to give money to a relative than just like an everyday person like you. Let's say you help your niece or nephew with rent. It's the same thing. It's a matter of scale. But I do think, one thing I did think about, though, is that particularly for people of color, all these payday lenders and all these other predatory practices, if people in your family are taking payday loans, so even like take me, I'm a professor, a best-selling writer, blah, blah, blah. But if someone in my family has taken a payday loan or something and it's come due and they're worried, I pay the payday loan. So then this is how these kind of predatory practices trickle up through communities because I'm paying the interest on that loan.
Right. And so that's the way that it can affect.
But it's what you do for people you love. It's never a burden to help out someone you love. And if you can do it, why not do it? And everyone does it, not just people with money. It's even more touching, I think, when someone who's having trouble with her own rent helps someone they love out with their rent.
Absolutely. It's never a burden to help somebody you love. I love that. One last quick thing. Like, everybody brings up Oprah, right? Everybody brings up Barack Obama. Love the book. Share it on Facebook with his 54 million followers. Was there one thing in the past year, was there one moment that really struck you? Somebody that wasn't a big name? Somebody maybe at one of your readings, a fan who came up and said something that you felt like you really knocked it out of the park with this book?
Well, every book I write, one person comes up to me and I think, oh, this book was for him or this book was for her. And for this book, it was a young man. He came after the event and he said that his father had been incarcerated for all of this young man's life. And he was always kind of mad at his mother because he didn't think she was conforming to ideals of how the ways that you should wait. And he said that reading An American Marriage helped him understand his mother better. And I said, oh my, this book was his. This was for him. If I helped heal one family, then I felt like I had done my work.
Amen. Listen, it's An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. Again, if you haven't read it, you're one of the few people in America. So get on it. It's on paper, out in paperback now. Get a copy for a friend. Up next, Chantal and I are going to read your tweets. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you a hug.